And I call the honourable member for Lindsay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to commend the Prime Minister on this very important and significant bill, the Australian Citizenship Intercountry Adoption Bill. This legislation clearly demonstrates this government is committed to adoption reform to enable more people to find families. Madam Speaker, as the Prime Minister and many adoption advocates have highlighted, adoption reform is not simple. This is not a silver bullet, but it is a step in the right direction. For too long, adoption has been in the too hard basket. It has been too hard to adopt, and as a result, adoption has been a policy no-go zone. As the Prime Minister said when introducing the legislation to the House, it shouldn't be that way, because adoption is all about giving children a better life. For many, adoption is about completing a family. I am so extremely pleased to welcome this legislation. The purpose of this bill is to facilitate the grant of Australian citizenship to children adopted by Australian citizens under a bilateral adoption arrangements between Australia and countries that are not party to the Hague Convention on Intercountry Adoption. The government wants to make it clearer to adopt when it is in the best interests of the child. We do not want to repeat the mistakes of the past, but we do want to remove the red tape and reduce the delays, which do not benefit anyone. It is a red tape that impacts on children who legitimately need a safe and loving home, parents who love them, and Australians who dream of providing a home with the joyful laugh of children. I would like to highlight some of the challenges Australia and the world at large currently face with intercountry adoption. They were outlined quite succinctly in the report in the Interdepartmental Committee on the Intercountry Adoption by the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet and released in April this year. And this report has driven these changes we debate today. The report notes the median processing time from approval of an applicant in Australia to placement of a child has increased from 37 months, about 3 years, in 2007, 2008, to 61 months, about 5 years, in 2012-13. In reducing red tape, it is the hope of the Prime Minister and the government we can reduce this time, giving more certainty to people engaged in this process. From speaking with many people throughout my life who are considering adoption or have experienced it firsthand, one thing that is clear: it is an emotional toll adoption takes on the individual and relationships. In preparing this report, correspondents writing to the Prime Minister about their personal experience of intercountry adoption say they have experienced anxiety about whether, as a prospective adoptive parents, they will qualify to adopt a child from overseas, whether a child will be available from a particular country or countries, if the child has special needs, whether the nature of the child's special needs affect the child's prospects of obtaining a visa to enter Australia, whether enough help is available for the parents to adopt a child with profound special needs, and how long the process might take. It is important we attempt to overcome some of these challenges. As the Prime Minister said, this will not be a simple process, but this bill attempts to address some of these challenges. In my opinion, any measure to reduce the 10-year waiting period is a good step. One submission to the report wrote, and I quote, "Over 12 months ago, I made an inquiry regarding intercountry adoption. Facts would not even accept an expression of interest for 12 months. Finally, 3 months ago, they accepted it and said that I would be eligible to adopt, but that I needed to wait for a pre-adoption seminar to run before I could lodge a formal application. Still no news. According to fax officers, they haven't had enough people interested in adoption to make it worthwhile running a seminar. In the meantime, I have become ineligible for the Columbia program, and it is likely that we will time out of eligibility for the India program. Deputy Speaker, it is heartbreaking that government bureaucracy and red tape could stand in the way of completing a family. This is the personal experience of local pastors Rick and Naomi Burrell from Orchard Hills, who explained to me the experience of the process of adopting a child from overseas. In their words, the kids just need a better deal. According to them, every day is agonising, from the day you were advised you have been approved to adopt a child until the process is finalised and you can begin to bring your child home. It is just agonising. Rick and Naomi applaud the Prime Minister for the measures he is taking to simplify the process, saying, and I quote, every step we take that reduces the time taken for us to process these adoptions here in Australia is to be welcomed. They explained how even once the paperwork was finalised, internationally they still needed to obtain a passport in their new baby's country of origin, obtain an exit visa, and obtain a visa to bring their child home to Australia on an international passport instead of a new Australian passport. When we heard that these amendments will allow for Australian citizenship and Australian passports to be obtained before leaving the child's birth country, they expressed how much of a relief this will be to families who adopt children into their care from a range of circumstances. As previous speakers have detailed under these amendments to be made in this bill, children will be granted citizenship as soon as the adoption is finalised. They will then be able to travel to Australia on an Australian passport with their new families as Australian citizens. I am too extremely pleased that these measures we discuss today will address the concerns and challenges experienced by Pastors Nick and Naomi Burrell, and for the challenges faced by families across Australia who are seeking to adopt. To conclude, Deputy Speaker, I would like to quote the Prime Minister who summed up the intention of this bill in his address to the House, and I quote, I hope that this bill and my government's and other reforms into intercountry adoption will provide significant new hope for parents without children and significant new hope for children without parents. The government appreciates this is not to be a simple process, but we are determined to provide relief and reduce waiting times for families who need to adopt from overseas. It is a noble effort. Deputy Speaker, it was only about a week and a half ago I actually was at a barbecue with Rick and Naomi Burrell, and they were talking also about some of their friends who are still going through the process. When you look at some of these children, Deputy Speaker, some of these children, they had to wait an extra 3 months. Some of these people are waiting an extra 18 months. When you're talking about, at 3 months of age that this baby's going to be yours, but you can't take this baby home until they're 2, they are some of the most formative years of a young infant's life. And to deny the family and to deny a child the crucial time to bond with their parents, I think in many ways is possibly one of the cruelest things you can do to families. And I think one of the most humane parts of this bill is that this bill will allow for babies to go home sooner, for families to be united, and to really improve a family unit to give these little babies a new chance to life. This is such a noble bill, and I commend this bill to the House.